think we both also have a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit in us to try and challenge things. I didn't talk about it earlier, but I've always enjoyed starting things. Even my banking career had the opportunities to partake in a few first in the market kind of products. And so I think where we want to look forward at the same time is to have a good sense of what has happened, take stock of it. And in that regard, I just wanted to understand, if you look back in the last 5 years, what were some of the key highlights, maybe disappointments?
Maybe, less disappointments, but more
That's great.
reflections,
Okay.
right? I think it's a great question. I mean, hindsight is always 2020, right? The last 5 years have been nothing short of a thrill, right? For CSV and for, I would say, everyone who's come through our doors and have decided to stay on this kind of wild journey of trying to push the agenda of a commercially driven energy transition in a bustling, emerging market like Asia. One of the key metrics that we were able to arrive at is that as of Q4 2025, we've executed on mandates over the last 5 years that have altogether scoped out and defined the transition of close to 5 gigawatts worth of coal towards renewables. So I do think that's a particularly proud moment for us as a company, that in the last 5 years alone, we've been able to mobilize a good number of industry leaders to really think long and hard about this transition and how it's going to affect them. I do think what has commonly got us through the door, right, and over the line in terms of getting these mandates and getting the commitment of these leaders to talk about the transition is the commercial side of it, right? It's the commercial opportunity around it. And that commercial motivation can be quite different in every business, every geography, and every kind of situation. But we embrace that, we celebrate that. So for instance, in some markets, it's purely regulatory pressure that may be driving a very difficult conversation on how fast and how hard they may want to transition between now and 2040. And these are particularly relevant in markets where big power portfolio owners both have coal, but also have an active pipeline of renewables and are looking to participate more meaningfully in the renewables market of that jurisdiction, but are struggling maybe to raise financing, right, or competitive financing. In those cases, a transition can be leveraged as a way to crowd in financial partners who see the opportunity of financing renewables, but also adding that element or that KPI, if you will, of transition of their thermal or their coal asset. The third kind of partner across those kind of mandates would be those that see the opportunity to really drive new technologies and new ways of harnessing the capital markets towards driving this transition. So for these kinds of clients, it would be more those that are quite interested to explore new ways of transitioning coal assets over the next 15-20 years, whether that's through phase down, partial decommissioning of assets and their hybridization with renewables, or those that are open to engaging in equity partnerships where new owners might be brought in to transition these assets with the original owners, but with some value realization that can happen upfront to then incentivize that investment towards renewables. It's really trying to understand the different motivations that bring a corporate to the table to talk serious about transition. Maybe a second reflection that I have, if you don't mind, sure, is that over the last 5 years and then across all those mandates, right? I do find that the ones that have succeeded, or at least the ones that we have worked with that have succeeded, are those that have tried to bring in as much of the mainstream capital markets as possible, right? Those that do not necessarily rely on concessional or philanthropic resources to get something going are typically the ones that stick and are ones that tend to find it easier starting something and scaling. I mean, CSV being in the space for a while, we've worked with a diverse set of ecosystem players, and we do find that there is kind of like this school of thought that concessional capital will be very important upfront to de-risk and crowd in champions from the market. Well, we've tried that, and obviously it has not yielded the results and the momentum and the velocity that we wanted around the transition. Whereas on the other side, I do find that corporates or champions who on their own see the value, both strategic and commercial, of transitioning, draw a line in the sand and make an ambition and a commitment to transition, tend to be seen more kindlier by the capital markets in terms of potentially extending commercial support to those players to then drive their transition ambition. Where in this case, concessional finance would just add to the ambition or add resources to accelerate or increase the ambition. It requires more effort for us to work closely with such champions to help them understand the innate commercial and strategic value of a transition, and then crowd in the right partners to help accelerate their ambitions around the transition. Right? The second reflection. But thirdly, I think, and that relates to this whole reflection that capital markets, everything we do should always be contributing towards slowly but surely unlocking mainstream capital markets, towards investing in renewables to scale. And I think that's why the call for calculated risks is higher now more than ever.
Yep.
Right? So I think, Andy, you'll be working in a drastically changed world, right? Where energy security continues to be a very important lens, but at the same time, the scales have already tipped in terms of coal to clean kind of consumption. Right? So I think the scales are tipping. And at the same time, we are now in a world where close to all of the international kind of like financing institutions have very specific views about the transition and wanting to support the coal to clean shift. But it's still a challenge towards kind of harnessing them and finding the right opportunities to deploy capital towards, right? Bring the ecosystem together and bring those deals together and take calculated risks, right? The more we do this, the better we're gonna get at it and the faster we're able to scale. In my view of like bringing and mobilizing commercial market and capital market solutions as opposed to purely concessional philanthropic, we just multiply our ability to scale this by tenfold, right? So I think that keeps us honest, right? The more we're able to mobilize mainstream capital market solutions, the more we're able to bring in corporates to drive their own ambition and develop deals for which then we can match commercial capital with corporate ambition.
Yep.
And then have blended finance or concession capital increase that ambition, drive it more, the faster I think we can scale this.
I think, Lawrence, you made it so clear. I mean, talking about the typology of clients, their respective challenges. You talked also about having conviction as the starting point, and then having faith in the commercial markets to find solutions, and then of course concessionary as that additional level or accelerator. But what I also liked is how we have always taken a very collaborative approach, as you mentioned. Being a catalyst, bring case studies to the market, both for financiers and corporates to understand that this can be done. I think that's something that I really hope I maintain and in fact strengthen in the next leg. I'm cognizant that the geopolitics are more volatile than ever, but I think the strength of our team, their diversity, their skill sets in finance, tech, engineering, I do think we are able to have a very solid engagement and discussion with the respective stakeholders, and I'm excited for the journey ahead. So thanks, Lawrence, for sharing that.